Let's get you some other world news now and take you to Haiti, where the funeral is currently underway for the late President Jovenel Moise. Now, a fortnight ago, suspected mercenaries gunned Moise down at his home in the capital, Port-au-Prince. Well, meanwhile, today, the US delegation and other dignitaries have been hurried to their vehicles as reports emerge of shots fired and tear gas used on protesters. That was outside of the funeral. Now, commemorations marking Moise's death have been taking part throughout the week. His assassination has sparked further political turmoil in a country already grappling with poverty and insecurity. Well, let's get you more on Haiti. Our Chief Foreign Affairs Editor joins us here in the studio, Rob Parsons. Rob, just in terms of tension, we know that on the ground insecurity, poverty is a huge problem. Since the assassination of the late president, it's been particularly tense indeed.
It's been very tense. You know, one of the things that's interesting is that there hasn't been much of the violence that there was before the assassination, as if people were just holding it back. Now we're just beginning to see it bubbling to the surface again. Yesterday, apparently Thursday, the day before the funeral, there were gangs of young men going through Cap Haitien in the north of Haiti, where this funeral is taking place, the hometown of Moise, firing guns in the air, setting up roadblocks with burning tires. And today, as you pointed out in your introduction, during the funeral itself, where foreign dignitaries were there, including the US ambassador to the United Nations, gunshots were heard again, apparently. Tear gas was fired, and the guests had to be rushed out and away. You know, at the same time, you had the priest there appealing for calm and saying violence is not what we need. But there's a sort of sense almost of inevitability about this. And part of the blame, it has to be said, has to be attributed to former President Moise as well, who did help divide the country, did arm armed gangs of his supporters to attack opponents, didn't hold elections in 2018, ruled by decree from that date on. Set, in other words, the groundwork for this sort of possibility today. It's going to be a tough task for Ariel Henry, who's the new Prime Minister, interim Prime Minister before elections can be held. He says he's committed to restoring order, to making sure that those elections go ahead, but this is all taking place in the least propitious circumstances possible.
Yeah, very difficult indeed to be taking over the reins in the country at a time like this. Let's talk a little bit about the investigation. We know it happened just over a fortnight ago. Jovenel Moise assassinated. What do we know about who's responsible, and are we moving ahead in this inquiry?
Not really, it would seem, although, you know, maybe, but we don't really know. The inquiry is being kept back, or at least the details of it kept back from the people of Haiti. It's been conducted, it's a joint investigation with Americans, Colombians, and Haitians, looking into the circumstances, extraordinary circumstances of the assassination of Moise. And it's that lack of information in part which is stirring up the tension in Haiti at the moment. People want information. They want to know that somebody is going to be punished for what was an outrageous assassination in which allegedly 28 men, 26 of whom were Colombian, that much we know, 2 were Haitian Americans, broke into the presidential compound, despite the fact that there were 3 groups of presidential guards in that compound at the time that they entered, got in there, shot him 16 times, and left without anybody being injured on their side, without any member of the presidential guards being injured. And only later were the clashes in which people got killed. So inevitably, people are asking themselves the question, how on earth is it possible? And today, you know, when the chief of the national security turned up at the funeral, there were people pointing their fingers at him and blaming him, saying it's down to you. You know, a lot of questions have to be answered.
A lot indeed. Remains to be seen where this investigation will go. For now, though, Rob Parsons, thank you.